Hey everyone, today we're going to tackle one of the biggest names in cybersecurity certifications, the CompTIA Security Plus. We're going to pull back the curtain and really demystify what this exam is all about. Not just what you need to pass, but what it actually says about your skills.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Well, let's start with the big picture, the structure of the exam itself. I want you to think about this like we're building a massive digital fortress from scratch. And this chart, this is our blueprint. It's broken down into 5 key domains. Now you can't help but notice that huge slice of the pie, right? 28% for security operations. That's your guards on the wall, the day in day out defense. But hey, you can't defend a fortress that doesn't exist. And that's exactly where all those other pieces of the puzzle come into play.
So here's our game plan. This is the path we're going to take to build our fortress. First, we'll figure out what this whole Security Plus thing is all about. Then, it's straight to construction. We'll lay the foundation, get to know our enemy, design the actual fortress, station the guards, and then finally, map out the grand strategy. It's a step-by-step journey that covers everything you'll need to know.
All right, first things first. What exactly is Security Plus? I mean, why does everyone talk about it? What's the big deal? Well, you can think of it as a universal key. It's a globally recognized certification that tells employers one simple thing. You've got the core, hands-on skills needed to actually do the job. It's not just theory. It's your ticket into the world of IT security.
And this isn't about memorizing a textbook. No way. It proves you can actually do stuff. You can look at a company's setup and assess its security. You can handle today's messy hybrid world, with stuff in the cloud, on-prem, mobile devices, the whole shebang. It also assures you get the rules of the road, the policies and regulations. And maybe most importantly, it proves you know how to react when things go wrong, when an incident actually happens. That's the stuff employers are desperate for.
Okay, time to grab our hard hats, because we are officially breaking ground. You can't build a fortress that'll last without an absolutely rock-solid foundation. And in the world of cybersecurity, that foundation is built from a handful of core concepts. This is Domain 1, General Security Concepts.
And the cornerstone of that foundation? It's something called the CIA triad. No, not that CIA. We're talking confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Think of it like this. Confidentiality is all about keeping secrets secret. Integrity means making sure that data hasn't been messed with, that it's accurate and trustworthy. And availability? Well, that just means you can actually get to your data when you need it. If you lose even one of these 3 pillars, the whole structure comes crashing down.
So that's what we need to protect. But how do we actually do it? Well, we use security controls, and they generally fall into 2 big buckets. First, you have your preventive controls. These are your castle walls, your moat, your big heavy gate. Their job is to stop an incident before it can even happen. But let's be real, no defense is perfect. So that's why you also need detective controls. These are your guards in the watchtower, your tripwires, your alarm bells. Their job is to scream, "Hey, something's wrong," the second an incident is happening.
Okay, our foundation is poured and set. It's strong. But a fortress is useless if you don't know who you're defending it from, right? You can't just build walls for the sake of building walls. It's time to get to know the enemy. We need to understand the threats knocking at our door, the vulnerabilities they're looking to exploit, and of course, how we're going to stop them.
And this is what's so fascinating and kind of scary. It's not just one bad guy in a hoodie. Look at this list. You've got nation-states playing digital spy games. You've got organized crime syndicates that are all about the money. You have hacktivists driven by a cause. And then you've got the insider threat, maybe a disgruntled employee looking for revenge. Each one of these groups has a totally different motivation, and knowing why they're attacking is half the battle in figuring out how to stop them.
A lot of the time, attackers don't bother with a battering ram. Why break down the door when you can just trick someone into opening it for you? That's the whole idea behind social engineering. We're talking about phishing emails, vishing phone calls, smishing texts, all these tricks designed to fool you. At the end of the day, these attacks don't exploit software. They exploit us, people. And that makes us one of the biggest risks.
All right, we've got our foundation. We know who the bad guys are. Now for the really cool part, designing the fortress itself. We're moving into the realm of security architecture. This is where we make the big strategic choices about how our defenses will be built and laid out.
And one of the first, most fundamental questions you have to answer is, where are we building this thing? Are you going with an on-premises data center? That's like building your own castle on your own land. You have total control, but man, it's expensive up front. Or do you build in the cloud? That's more like renting a super high-tech space. It's flexible, it's scalable, but you're sharing the responsibility for security with your landlord, the cloud provider. And believe me, that choice changes everything.
But here's a crucial point. A great fortress isn't just about having high walls. It's about being able to take a punch and get right back up. That's resilience. It means being ready for anything. It means having systems in place to handle a sudden flood of traffic, having a solid disaster recovery plan for when things really hit the fan, and keeping secure backups, just in case. And you know what? A plan is useless if you don't test it. You have to run drills to make sure it all actually works when you need it.
So, picture this. The walls are up, the gates are reinforced. Our fortress is built. But it's just a pile of stone and wood without people to defend it, right? It's not going to defend itself. We need guards on the walls, eyes on the horizon. And that brings us to the biggest piece of the Security Plus exam by far, security operations. This is all about the active, day-to-day work of defense.
And when that alarm bell starts ringing, the last thing you want is panic. Chaos is the real enemy. Your security team needs a playbook, a step-by-step process they've rehearsed 100 times. That's the incident response process. It's a clear path from preparation to detection to figuring out what's going on and then, bam, containing the problem, kicking the attacker out, and getting everything back to normal.
Now, these guards aren't just standing there with spears. They've got some seriously high-tech gear. Think of a SIEM as their mission control, a central hub pulling in alerts and intel from every corner of the fortress. They've got data loss prevention tools, which are basically super smart gatekeepers that make sure sensitive data doesn't walk out the front door. And they're constantly using vulnerability scanners, which are like their own team of engineers, tapping on the walls, looking for any tiny crack before the enemy finds it.
Okay, we've covered the foundation, the walls, the enemy, the guards, but there's one last piece, the big picture. You see, a fortress doesn't run itself. It needs a king, a council, a set of laws. It needs a grand strategy. And that's our final domain, security program management and oversight. This is the world of governance, risk, and compliance.
And how does the King's Council make sure everyone's on the same page? Through a top-down set of rules. It starts with a high-level policy. This is the king declaring all gates must be secured. It's broad. Then comes a standard, which gets more specific. All gates must use an iron lock. And finally, you get the procedure, which is the nitty-gritty, step-by-step guide for the guards on exactly how to use that lock.
A huge part of this high-level strategy is about one thing: money. You have a limited budget, right? You can't put 100 guards on every single wall. So how do you decide where to invest? You do the math. You calculate things like the annualized loss expectation, which is just a fancy way of asking, if this specific thing goes wrong, how much money are we likely to lose over a year? Once you have that number, it's way easier to justify your spending.
And there you have it. When you put it all together, you can see that Security Plus isn't just about one thing. It's the whole package. From the bedrock concepts and architectural design to the guards on the wall and the overarching strategy from the war room. It's a complete, holistic approach to building something that's actually defensible.
So, our digital fortress is designed, the guards are at their posts, and the strategy is in place. This entire framework is the blueprint. It lays out everything you need to know to prove you're ready. So the only real question left is for you.